Hello, Gun Nation. Big Johnson coming at you. All right, as y'all all know, if you've been following me, I had a optic plate failure. I went and purchased a CZ Shadow 2 Compact from Texas Gun Experience used. Well, in the box, I guess the person prior to me had bought this C&H Precision plate. So I thought, well, I had never tried them. Hey, it's in the box. Let's go ahead and put it on and give it a whirl. So anyway, got the gun, got it home, and took it out of that package and looked, and right here, he had apparently tried to put a sight in there. Maybe if it says Glock dovetail only, hopefully he didn't try to put anything else in there. But it actually opened this up like a sardine can. This was all ripped. I mean, there was jagged edges all over it, and I'm like, holy crap. So, and also you're putting a steel sight in an aluminum plate. Okay, ex-aviation tech here, was a tech forever. When you're putting steel into aluminum, that can cause intergranular corrosion. It takes years and years and years to show up if you do not treat that, like prime it, without zinc chromate. Most of civilians out there will never have zinc chromate. So they would just put it in there, and that could be a potential problem down the road. How could that be a potential problem? Well, you've got your sight in here. It's not going to get wet. Oh yeah, it is. You carry appendix, you've got it in your pants, sweat is pouring all down here. It's getting on your sight and into the groove. So that's kind of a no-go for me right off the bat. Again, it's not going to show up instantly, but it can show up. So just to be aware of that. Also, I put it on the gun, screwed it down properly, watched their videos, used their torque specs, did the dry fit procedure just like they said, so your screws don't come out the bottom. They come out of the bottom of the T-slots too far and protrude. I did everything correctly. Proper torque, blue Loctite, the whole works. Okay, so I installed the 2 screws into the frame, into the slide, and I mark everything, I always do, so I marked those. That was done. Then I put these into my hollow sun, tightened those down properly with the correct torque, tightened those down properly, and marked those. Then I let it sit in my office for 5 days. 5 whole days, because I couldn't go shoot it because I was so busy, had to go out of town for work. So it sat there and cured on my lock stand, literally right here in my office. Came back and I'm like, oh man, I want to go shoot it. Loaded up mags, headed to the range. So at the range, this is on the gun, shooting it, everything's torqued down. Excuse me, let me back up 1 second. Prior to that, once I installed it originally, I was looking under here, and you're going to have a gap. You're going to have some gaps under your optic to the plate. Okay, like RMR, you get your battery underneath. If it's the old Type 1, I get it. So you're going to have a little gap there, a little gap here, and then also, if you look in this trench, you can see it right here. You're going to have light going all the way through. So if you shine a flashlight on the opposite side, you're going to see some gaps. I get it. That's normal. I've got tons of plate guns with dots. I've got tons of direct mill guns with dots. So I understand how all this works. But this particular one, you were getting like pressing down here, pulling up here. It was just wavy as hell. It just didn't look right. I could see where it looked like it was stressed in a lot of areas that I don't see on my carbon steel plates or anything like that. I was like, this is not right. So right after I saw that, I reached out to another company and said, hey, here's what I've got. Can you send one of your plates? They said, yes, definitely. So anyway, it's on its way. But anyway, so I saw all that and I was like, that's not right. I don't like that. That's why I reached out to that company. But, I just left it on there, went ahead and let it cure. And then I took it to the range, after 5 days because I hadn't got that other plate yet. So it was out being coated. But anyway, so I put this on, it was already on there. And I went to the range. I was shooting maybe 20, 25 rounds. And I was like, let's check it. Grabbed it, it had wiggle. Just a little bit of wiggle. And I'm like, that's not right. Well, the screws to the hollow sun were perfectly lined up. Not a problem there. Perfectly lined up. Well, on the first video that I shot that I decided not to put up, It wasn't very language friendly. And then also, I was disassembling everything on video. Well, that's a no-no on YouTube now. So I decided not to put that video up because I was literally disassembling everything straight back from the range, and I was showing everything on that video. So if anybody calls me a liar, I've got proof of it. Okay, this is not made up. But that one's not very friendly to put on YouTube. So anyway, I disassembled, or I got home, disassembled it all. These were perfectly straight, still lined up with their witness marks. And I said, I bet it's the bottom plate. Of course, pulled it off because I could see these two lined up at the range. So got back, sure enough, one of them was way up here. The other one was way down here, so they came off the baselines right here that I had marked. So, with this being aluminum, it was probably flexing a lot because it was pushed in here with those two screws and being pulled up with these T-nuts, these T-slots. And in my opinion, these are just a no-go. I think the aluminum plates in general are a no-go because even if you try to thread an aluminum plate with a steel screw, it's not going to hold the thread properly. Over time, it's probably going to rip the threads out of it. Some people will say, oh, can't you put a Healy coil in there? Well, by the time you do that and go to that expense for the maker, they should just make a steel plate. So, and this, I noticed also this one was very thin, and I know they're trying to keep the Optic low. I get it, but this is just a complete fail in my opinion. So, and I'm not the only one that said this. I've got two buddies that have had failures with C&H Precision, not even on shadows. One was a Staccato. I forget what the other one was. But anyway, and these are buddies that I trust. And actually, one of them has 2 plates of these on video failing. So this T-slot thing, I think it looks cool and it's probably unique and it's for the dramatics, but I don't buy it. So I will be staying away from these plates because we work hard for our money and we don't need something that's going to fail, because here's what you're looking at. You've got your dot on here, you're in a self-defense situation, this is your aiming device. If this thing is loose or wiggled off and you maybe not witness marked it, that's why I always recommend doing that. And that thing's slightly off. The projectile that's coming out of the end of that gun might not hit its target and might hit someone innocent. So there's a thought. Also, you're just shooting it at the range. This thing could come off and bean you in the head. Or it could come off, hit just correct and damage your dot. All because of a freaking $100 and something plate that failed. So that's why I always recommend testing your gear even prior to carrying it, making sure you're not having any issues. But I would stay away from the aluminum T-slot design. I'm just not a fan. But that's just my opinion. I'm not hating on a company. I'm just saying do better. So thank you very much. Remember, an unarmed nation is a very weak nation, so we all got to carry on.